T-spheres picking up on the...
Yeah, but the other ones...
Hello, and welcome back, guys. The world of DC is known for its incredible superheroes that have saved mankind time and again. However, there's someone in this universe whose superpower is slightly different than flying across skylines at unimaginable speeds. It's merely his exceptional gray matter that makes him the third smartest man alive. Yes, I'm talking about none other than Mr. Terrific, aka Michael Holt. Buckle up, because we're about to dive into this genius life, who's secured a place among the plethora of superheroes, thanks to his gifted mind. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin, shall we?
They ain't themselves.
Who is Mr. Terrific? Carrying on the legacy of Terry Sloane, the first man ever to receive the title of Mr. Terrific in the DC Universe, Michael Holt first appeared in a one-issue story, The Spectre, issue 54, created by John Ostrander and Tom Mandrake. In this comic, released in 1997, Holt is convinced by the Spectre, the spirit of vengeance, to become the new Mr. Terrific, embody the Golden Age superhero, Sloane's ideal of fair play, and become a hero of the streets. Consequently, we meet the new Mr. Terrific, who was not just skilled, but was indeed extremely special. Holt had mastered the theories of the space-time continuum, and was thorough with the works of scholars like Albert Einstein, Niels Bohr, Richard Feynman, and Max Planck by the time he was barely 6. I could barely get the 13 tables right at 6. However, in spite of his gifted abilities, life has not been fair to this child prodigy. He lost his brother Jeffrey at 15, who was completely opposite of him and was mentally challenged. With an astronomical IQ and natural athleticism, Michael managed to get 14 doctorates and degrees and even become an Olympic decathlete. He was a self-made billionaire due to his natural ability and inclination towards learning. However, none of this really mattered to Holt, and his greatest achievement in life was marrying his wife Paula. Unfortunately, his life took a tragic turn when a pregnant Paula passed away in a car accident. Heartbroken, Michael was contemplating suicide when the Spectre, hosted by Jim Corrigan, approached him. Inspired by his predecessor, Sloane, Michael decided to take up his mantle and realized that Jeffrey and Paula would always be his true inspirations. Michael Holt thus became Mr. Terrific and transformed his grief into determination. Since life wasn't fair to him, he decided to take fate into his own hands. Michael Holt's characterization went through quite a few changes over time. Let's take a look at his character evolution, which is pretty intriguing to say the least. Post-Crisis on Infinite Earths, or The New Earth. Though initially introduced as a grounded, street-level hero for the people in The Spectre, Mr. Terrific's character soon got a revamp when he joined the new JSA series, penned by David Goyer and Geoff Johns. Before that, his appearance and costume were pretty simple. Holt would often be seen in regular clothes and rely on his physical strength and intelligence, quite similar to Terry Sloane's talents. Soon our humble hero's character underwent significant reworking. He was given a new metahuman ability that made him invisible to technology, and with the introduction of his T-spheres, he also became more technologically oriented. This shift by Goyer and Johns transformed Holt into one of the greatest scientific minds in the superhero community, and moved him away from fighting street crime. During a period when black heroes were stereotypically made to fight street crimes, these changes received positive feedback. Mr. Terrific was the much-needed rising star in the superhero world, who ultimately became the chairman of the JSA and the White King of Checkmate. Post-Flashpoint Earth Zero. Mr. Terrific made a much-awaited appearance after Flashpoint with a new ongoing series. A total rewrite of his story was on the cards since the Justice Society of America no longer existed in the new series. However, the deaths of his wife, brother, and unborn child were retained with the removal of the Spectre's role. Michael Holt was shown as a solo superhero in Los Angeles and the billionaire CEO of his company. So without the Spectre's involvement, how did Holt take upon the mantle of Mr. Terrific? Here, his unborn son was a genius in a parallel universe, which inspired him to become Mr. Terrific. He started his superhero journey fighting against a team of international terrorists, the Prodigy, and introduced his T-spheres for the first time. When Black Hawk's leader Lincoln, who was also fighting the Prodigy, thought that all technology should be regulated by the government, Holt vehemently disagreed. In the meantime, he learned about Karen Starr's intrusion into Holt Industries and the project on the Quantum Tunnel during an investigation. After going down the tunnel, he arrived on Earth 2 and saw future happenings, including a battle with Lincoln, who was a member of Earth 2's JSA team, Power Girl, and his apparent demise at the hands of Mr. Terrific from Earth 2. After a while, Holt made his way back to Earth 0 and aided Superman in a fight against Vandal Savage above Metropolis. Dark Knights, Metal. Holt not only teamed up with Superman, but even assisted Batman following the events of the Metropolis. He helped Batman investigate the truth about the Dark Multiverse. He explored various worlds with Plastic Man, but when the Dark Knights attacked Earth Zero, he was forced to team up with the heroes. He went to Thanagar with Hal Jordan and the Martian Manhunter to confront Onimar Sin and Starro. The Terrifics. Mr. Terrific approached Simon Stagg after fighting the invader and making his way back to Earth. Holt then accused him of stealing his inventions to investigate the dark multiverse. Mr. Terrific also found out about Stagg's experiments on Metamorpho, which were forcing him to change into nth metal. Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho, and Plastic Man were drawn into the opening of the dark multiverse and found themselves sucked within the corpse of a titanic being. They met Linya Wazo, a Bigsdale native, and discovered a note from another explorer, Tom Strong, alerting them of the area's perils. After evading an attack from the Waking Titan, Mr. Terrific was linked with his comrades by an unknown energy. He reluctantly came to terms with the fact that he would have to stick with his newly acquired companions, creating the newest squad known as the Terrifics. Well, that's quite a creation story. Marvelous story arc of Mr. Terrific, post-Crisis on Infinite Earth's New Earth, 1 year later. Interestingly, Mr. Terrific was seen in a new role when the United Nations resurrected Checkmate. Alan Scott was the White King who recruited Mr. Terrific as his White Bishop, and put him in an advisory role. Here's a spicy take on the story. Mr. Terrific developed a secret relationship with Sasha Bordeaux, the Black Queen Checkmate, during his tenure, which became controversial when Alan was removed as the White King. Any guesses as to who took over the position? It was none other than Mr. Terrific. No sooner than he became White King did he appoint the Thinker, an AI, and Flash's enemy as his White Bishop, and kept Tommy Jagger as his White King. His White Queen, Amanda Waller, tried to use Holt's secret relationship with Sasha as leverage to become the Black Queen. However, Mr. Terrific, with the help of Sasha and the Black King Taleb, outsmarted her, causing her to resign from the Checkmate. That was indeed a checkmate, huh? Final Crisis. Mr. Terrific was one of the few people who remained unaffected when Darkseid used the anti-life equation to take control of the Earth. Leading the resistance, he and a few other Checkmate officials took refuge in a bunker. Accompanying him was Sasha Bordeaux, who had disabled herself using the OMAC circuitry in order to evade the effects of the anti-life equation. In a desperate attempt to access the OMAC protocols, Mr. Terrific brought Bordeaux back to life, causing OMACs all over the planet to activate and create an army to oppose Darkseid. JSA vs. Cobra. The strategic battle tested Mr. Terrific's ties with both Checkmate and the Justice Society, as he balanced his roles as White King and superhero. Tensions rose as Power Girl, who had taken over as the Justice Society's chairperson, entered the scene. Mr. Terrific had a new enemy, Jason Burr, the leader of Cobra, who had planned an assassination attempt on him. The battle was between Burr's radical religious views and Mr. Terrific's faith in science. The outcome of this conflict was somewhat mixed. While Mr. Terrific prevented President Suarez's assassination and destroyed part of Burr's organization, Burr succeeded in killing the UN Secretary General and reorganizing his gang. Even with the tragic ending, Mr. Terrific took comfort in seeing Sasha Bordeaux come out of her coma. Exploring Mr. Terrific's abilities and equipment. It might come as a surprise, but this seemingly normal human being has a lot more powers than just a brilliant brain. Oh, and not just amazing skills, but he also has an array of interesting weapons that come in handy for his terrific escapades. Yes, pun intended. Powers. Peak human conditioning. The physical abilities that Mr. Terrific possesses are simply astounding. It enables him to deliver the highest level of human performance. High stamina. Owing to his highly developed muscles, Mr. Terrific's body produces much fewer fatigue toxins than most people. This grants him extraordinary human endurance. For example, he managed to pull through in Arctic temperatures with only 2 broken ribs while battling the Tomorrow Thief. Peak human strength. Mr. Terrific's strength surpasses that of any ordinary human. Peak human agility. Mr. Terrific's reflexes and flexibility are at the highest level of human potential. Natural athletic qualities. Mr. Terrific is known for being a natural athlete, and even has an Olympic gold medal in decathlon to his name. Businessman. Michael Holt has also carved his niche in the business world, and is the CEO of a high-tech firm, Holt Industries, also known as Holt Corp. Additionally, Holt is an inventor, engineer, scientist, and industrialist. Wow, those are quite some feathers in his hat. Child prodigy. It's no news that Holt was a child prodigy. He's credited with being the 3rd smartest man alive on the planet, and having a natural aptitude for mastering and retaining complex skills in no time. His genius has helped him accomplish some impossible tasks. For example, Holt successfully performed surgery on a companion, Alan Scott, after just reading about the procedure in a medical book. As I said earlier, Holt was barely 6 when he learned the works of Einstein, Planck, and Feynman, and understood the theory of time-space continuum just by listening when other kids were learning it. In his own words, his special talent is that of learning. Martial artist. Alright, I bet you didn't see this one coming. Apart from all his exceptional learning skills, Holt also holds 6 black belts in various martial arts disciplines. He didn't even have to use the T-spheres while fighting the Tomorrow Thief. His agility and fighting skills were enough to take him down. Polyglot. Holt is fluent in several languages, though this skill is not fully revealed to us. Given his learning abilities, it's no surprise that Holt has a grasp of different languages, like Kandak. Polymath. Michael Holt's degrees and specializations make him a polymath. He has several degrees and multiple masters and PhDs in the fields of physics, chemistry, electrical engineering, medicine, law, psychology, science, and political science. Strategist. Holt also has excellent strategic skills and is capable of playing chess against 2 opponents, and he doesn't even need to keep his eyes open for this. Equipment. Time to look at the brilliant equipment that makes Holt the perfect Mr. Terrific. T-Mask. Thanks to the nanotechnology used in his costume and his iconic T-Mask, Holt can be invisible to any form of electronic detection or technology. He's hardly detectable even with sophisticated equipment like Batman's night vision lenses. The OMAX and the Brother Eye satellites too cannot find him since he can expand the cloaking field to cover wider areas. That's not all. The T-Mask is molecularly linked to his face and is capable of disappearing whenever he wants to. It also protects Holt from toxic chemicals and conveys mental commands to his T-spheres by detecting the slightest of facial expressions. The T-Mask also has an earpiece and serves as a communication device for Holt, allowing him to easily shift between his superhero costume and normal clothing swiftly. It also works as an encephalic transmitter and picks up thought waves to converse with his T-spheres and project a hologram of himself, even when he's wounded or too weak to talk. Wait guys, the list goes on. The mask can even make sure that no one can catch Holt off guard by scanning his surroundings and calculating the distance, temperature, and speed of any approaching threats. It can establish connections with other electronic gadgets and even take over global radio and TV channels. T-spheres. Okay, so I've been mentioning these T-spheres for quite a while now. Let's take a look at what these actually are. T-spheres are robotic spheres that float and have several functions. They have the ability to project holographic images, make laser grids, function as cameras, connect to satellites and data networks, open electronic locks, and enable Holt to fly. It can also explode with great force, so much so that it can unleash electrical charges, expel gas, split apart Captain Marvel and Black Adam, and build accurate laser grids. It can also produce strong electric charges and act as flying projectile weapons. Holt typically carries 3 to 5 T-spheres, but always has a huge supply on hand. And as far as commanding them is concerned, it's the T-Mask's job. The holograms made by T-spheres are also powerful enough to fool telepaths like Ultra Humanite. It can also create a force field to help Holt levitate himself and others. The T-spheres also download and display data for Holt. Mr. Terrific in alternate realities. If you think Mr. Terrific has his hold only in this reality, you're mistaken. He has quite a presence in different realities as well. Let's take a look at his role in the alternate worlds. Future's End. In the potential future depicted in Future's End, set 5 years ahead in the DC Universe timeline, Michael Holt returns to Earth 1 after being stranded on Earth 2, likely due to a war between the two Earths. He establishes a tech company called Terrifitech and adopts a persona similar to a rap mogul. Terry McGinnis is sent back in time to kill Holt to prevent Brother Eye from coming online. 35 years into the future, Holt is shown living in Terrifitech Tower as a prisoner of Brother Eye. Earth 2. Now this one is a shocker. On Earth 2, Michael Holt is not a superhero, Mr. Terrific, but a college professor. Here, his wife Paula is still alive, preventing the crisis in his life. Thus, he never took on the role of Mr. Terrific, and his life took a different path altogether. Probably a happier end for Michael. Flashpoint. When Barry Allen unintentionally created an alternate timeline, Michael Holt as Mr. Terrific had a partner. It's his wife Paula as Mrs. Terrific. However, when the outsider frames them and puts them in 5 years of prison, their lives end tragically. After being set free, they try to use Rising Sun to kill the outsider, but the plan fails, and Michael is the first to fall victim to the fight. Mind-blowing appearance of Mr. Terrific in other forms of media. Let's take a look at Mr. Terrific's appearance in other media worlds. Justice League Unlimited. Mr. Terrific became a recurring character in the expanded Justice League Unlimited animated series. His role was voiced by Michael Beach. Though he initially appeared in non-speaking roles, Holt gained prominence after Martian Manhunter took a break from the team. It was then Mr. Terrific's responsibility to take over as the Justice League's dispatcher in the Watchtower and coordinate the group's efforts. Smallville. In the episode Absolute Justice, Lois Lane refers to Michael Holt as a Nobel Prize-winning scientist. He later appeared in the comic book series Smallville Chaos. However, he never appeared in the CW television series. Arrow. Mr. Terrific is introduced to Arrow in the 4th season. This version of the character is named Curtis Holt and is portrayed as gay. Echo Kellum does a brilliant job at playing this role. Marvelous verdict. Well, that's all for today, folks. It's safe to say that in the DC Universe, Mr. Terrific has a distinct and compelling personality. He's the best proof that one can stand out even without possessing typical superhero powers. In this case, his exceptional intelligence and resilience have made him a true hero. Over time, Holt's character underwent a lot of changes, but it only kept viewers fascinated. Nevertheless, in every form of media, his image has always been presented with complexity and depth, demonstrating his brilliance through and through. In my opinion, Mr. Terrific continues to be an inspirational figure in the DC Universe, and deserves all our admiration. Let us know in the comments below what your take on this mastermind is. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone. I'll see you in the next one.